If I just vanish one day, you can safely assume that it was the fault of the WWE. I don't mean they're gonna kill me or anything. Oh, sorry. 1 second. Man, unprofessional, sorry. Yeah, hello?
You are dead.
Ah! That's just me putting on a voice and then changing in editing. My point is simply this. If you go through the entire roster, guys and girls just vanish from absolutely nowhere. I don't mean somebody like Rusev. For example, if you are strictly a fan of Raw or SmackDown, you don't read the dirt sheets, you don't know about AEW or any other wrestling company, you will just assume that the Bulgarian brute fell through a hole. But it's not exclusive to this type of person. It is everybody. Sometimes you see somebody on a show and the next week, poof, they just gone. And I'm sure you already have an idea of who I'm referencing, so now it's time to figure out what the deal is. Because these 5 wrestlers have just vanished from WWE TV. Why? Pointless. Here's why. Trainer number 5 is Alistair Black, and this one is going to break your heart, especially if you're Mrs. Black, Al's mother. But I don't think we've seen him on Raw or SmackDown since October 2020 when Kevin Owens beat him in a match. Then he did indeed just disappear, but clearly somebody backstage knows that he does still work for the company, because in that same month, he also got drafted to SmackDown, which I think means we've never seen him on Friday night since. He seems like an easy fit to me, given that he has an interesting character and he does feel properly legit. But as it turns out, or so say the rumors, Vince McMahon just doesn't see it, it's gone over his head, he don't get it. And there is some evidence to this as well, given that Vince added a creak to his coffin entrance as if he was literally Dracula, and the last nail into this box is when Paul Heyman got removed from his creative power position. Black was one of these guys that Heyman went out of his way to recruit because he knew they were being underutilized and he knew he could do something good with him. And we almost got there, but do not forget, it is still true. You just have to actually, give him a call and say, hey, do you want to come and work? I mean, he was put in some real nut scenarios too. Don't forget the reason he was having a fight with Kevin Owens is because he was mad that Kev hadn't come out to help him when Buddy Murphy removed his eye. Now, I don't know about you, but that is way too much of a high-maintenance friendship. Surely, Alistair, your rage should be at the guy that wanted to make you blind. And of course, there's always a chance that he does just pop up back TV from nowhere, but it is going to take a change in the brain from the guy at the very top. And as we mentioned him too, where the flub is Buddy Murphy? I mean, he actually had quite a dish in 2020 and absolutely turned his life around when the father of the Mysterio family, who he had tried to rip the eye out, not only accepted him into the clan, but also said, yeah, sure, if you want to date my daughter Leah, you can come around for dinner and we'll have just a good time. Rey Mysterio is a better person than me. Even though the narrative did kind of wind itself up, it was still so strange that one week he was on SmackDown and the next week he just wasn't. And this isn't a Vince McMahon thing. Everything coming out of Stamford, Connecticut is that the boss was very fond of this relationship, and yet ever since Seth Rollins went away, Buddy seems to have followed. And it is this that all ties in, because when Seth did leave to take some time with his partner in real life, Becky Lynch, as she gave birth to their first child, McMahon just thought, well, I can just cool the jets with all of this, and far be it from me to say otherwise, but Buddy Murphy had some momentum, and now maybe he don't have so much momentum anymore. Also, if the plan is to have him return after Seth Rollins has also made his comeback, then that is an uphill battle that you're already placing at the Australians' feet, because you already know that WWE is going to sing from the high horses about Seth Rollins, and while Murphy will get some hoopla, it just ain't going to be the same, so you're already pigeonholing him, and I don't want no pigeon. It also means we're just going to go straight back to what we were doing last year, and I think it's time to move forward and not look behind us. But yes, more reports do suggest that Buddy has been backstage at SmackDown. He's just waiting to be pushed in front of the curtain. Following this in at number 3 is Andrade, and thankfully this one is a lot easier. If you recall, it was Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss who took out Andrade and Zelina Vega, leaving many of us to go, wait a minute, are we about to see one of the weirdest intergender tag team matches that we've ever had the privilege or maybe suffering of witnessing? As it turned out, that was not the case, because Vega was let go from the company in very controversial circumstances, and given that Andrade had just been beaten up and had to sell his injuries, but he was like, well, I may as well go get surgery for real. A lot of my body is hurting, so that's what he did. We're now just waiting for the right time to bring him back, and a little birdie told me maybe that's about to happen. Because while I can't actually personally see WWE going ahead with this, Andrade on their social media did send a message to Charlotte Flair, who he is dating in real life, and said that she needs some backup as she tries to take on her dad and his new lover, Lacey Evans. Now look, don't even think about it either. Take that thought and flush it down the toilet. I don't want it in your brain. No, 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 no. Do we need to see Charlotte and Andrade versus Ric Flair and Lacey Evans? The Nature Boy is 71 years old. You gotta let it go. But that said, if you do want Andrade out there in Charlotte's corner so he makes up the numbers, then that's actually quite cool, especially because World Wrestling Entertainment is always pushing Charlotte, so hopefully some of that will rub off on him and he can finally be put in a place that he deserves. He's so good. Straight to number 2 is Angel Garza, and this is another weird one. I know we've seen him somewhat recently, but it's the coming and the going and the coming and the going that I just can't get my head around. I mean, how long has he been going on about this rose? And how many different storylines have we had hinted at? At one point it felt like he was going to go out with Charlie Caruso, but he didn't, and then there was a hint that maybe Zelina Vega's going to get tied up in that, and then there was all this speculation that Eva Marie was going to return to WWE, and she was going to be partnering up with Angel, but instead, he just got a rose, and sometimes he drops it on the floor. So who is the focus of his desires? And we really need to wrap that up soon, because right now he is a Lothario that never actually gets the girl. And in many ways that's good, because if you look up the definition of a Lothario, they're basically a jackass. But in terms of a story that we see playing out on TV, you gotta have the good, and you gotta have the bad, and we just got nothing. Even worse, he has been a constant on WWE Main Event recently, and while it's good that he's got a job and he's working, I just don't want WWE to decide that that's where he's at. He's got far bigger an upside, and we gotta let him show it on either Raw or SmackDown. I mean, imagine him going for the US title. I think he would be made for that. I mean, don't do it right about now, because he'd have to fight Bobby Lashley, and Bobby Lashley, given how WWE treats him, would literally eat Angel Garza. That would be the finish. He'd eat Angel Garza, and we'd sit there for 12 to 24 hours. He'd then crap him out and pin him, and we'd be like, man, that Bobby Lashley, he beats everyone. So yes, I do think we can do more with all this, but for starters, just put him on the show. Which brings us to number 1, and this one is a little different, but it still counts. I'm talking about Edge. It takes all of 4 seconds to find out that he did tear his tricep when he was taking on Randy Orton at Backlash 2020 in the greatest wrestling match ever, and because of that he needed surgery and once more he had to go away from WWE television. But from a fan's point of view, this is so funny. He lost the match, he wasn't very happy, so away he went. Because there hasn't been a peep from anyone about where the Rated R superstar may be hiding, and that's actually what sparked the reason for this video, because a friend of mine who's a casual watcher, but he always makes sure he keeps up to date, texts me going, Miller, where the hell did Edge go? He had no clue. It made me laugh and it made me smile, although for those that do care, it does certainly seem like the big plan for WWE and WrestleMania 37 is to do their third big blow-off match at that event, which they totally deserve, because when they did match 1, there was no fans. When they did match 2, there was no fans. We know there are going to finally be fans at WrestleMania 37, so you can do it there. Edge can win, and then finally he can have all these dream matches with all the dream opponents we've been talking about for ages. And first on that list, please, I want Edge versus Kevin Owens. Basically, it's about time we did right by this feud, given that we do have the opportunity. But yeah, that's where Edge is. He's fixing his tricep, and as it turns out, some people have no idea. And why would you? Especially if you started watching in like August. He's just like a figment of your imagination. Now I know these aren't the only 5, so make sure you get in the comments and let us know about more wrestlers that have just disappeared. I mean, where the hell do they go? Then like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Head over to whatculture.com and read yourself the articles. You're on YouTube right now. Get to clicking and watch some more videos. And head on over to social media, search for What Culture WWE, and all of that, and you can give us a follow. My name is Simon from What Culture. Thank you for watching another Why video. If you are worried about my brain, don't worry, I am too, but I do it for the cause. I'll see you soon.